before I get into the game review itself, let's talk about the controversy around the release, because that's fun, right? If you didn't know, Rise of the Tomb Raider is a sequel to the original Tomb Raider reboot, came out in 2013. Rise of the Tomb Raider was Xbox exclusive for a whole year until a week ago, which is why I'm reviewing it now. And people were really pissed about that. It's like, why are you making our multi-platform game Xbox exclusive? And I think Sony's returning fire now with Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, what was really unfortunate about Rise of the Tomb Raider is, on the whole, I do think it is a good game, and we'll talk about why in a bit. Some idiot, thought it was a good idea to release it the same day as Fallout 4. And it sold shit copies. So not only is it only on one platform, it releases the same day as the game everybody wants, the most anticipated game of the last, 4 years. I am not a Treasury president. I don't know how Xbox One has benefited from this, if at all, but that seems like a really terrible decision to me. And in the end, the result was not very many copies. Now, you know, when they made the original Tomb Raider reboot, it was a very expensive game. You can tell that in Rise of the Tomb Raider, though. This was clearly a very expensive game to make. Even though the original Tomb Raider reboot sold very well, Square Enix just doesn't know how to manage money, I guess. Apparently, however many million copies just wasn't enough for them. Like, that should be a very successful game. I don't know why you're not profiting about that, but this has made even less, so that just can't be good, man. So now, a year later, Rise of the Tomb Raider is coming to PS4, and the problem with that is, at this point, everybody on PS4 has played Uncharted 4, so that's gonna seem like the obvious connection, and this is just gonna seem like a crappier Uncharted 4 with a girl. And there's already a hot girl in Uncharted 4, and that's very unfortunate for the launch. This game just had a really doomed release cycle. It came with all the Croft Manor DLC. One of them is a little, treasure hunt, scavenger hunt find, and there's all this lore and all this voiceover. And there's some backstory to it. It's not very game-like. It feels like a hub world side activity, and that was kind of fun. There's some cool stuff in there. And then one of them was just a zombie shooter mode, and that was stupid. So definitely don't pay any extra for the DLC. And I just really hope that this didn't hurt the chances for a third game in the series, because I do want to see one. I really did. I played the original Tomb Raider. I liked it, thought it was colossally overrated, but I think it was a good game on the whole. This one I did like a lot more, and I'll tell you why. It is absolutely gorgeous. The environments in this world are some of the best I've seen. Geothermal Valley is one of my favorite game environments, period. It is so pretty. It is so gorgeous. You got the deserty section at the beginning, so that's my main complaint was, so what this game does is it's got kind of open world sections. Now, it does open world in a unique way. So it has a story guide you through the world, and then after a certain point, it stops and it lets you explore and do some little quests in a smaller piece of an open world. So it's got little open world sections. So there's a Siberian one, then there's the copper mill. So a couple of them take place in snowy winter stuff, and then one of them takes place in Geothermal Valley. And it is a very, very different, distinct environment, and it looks awesome. The game runs in 1080p, rock solid 30 FPS, but it's in third person, so it's not that big a deal. The environments are beautiful. The map is packed with goodies to find. There's all kinds of optional tombs that go off, and the environments around them, there's waterfalls, there's caves, there's these different systems. It's not just this dirty little cave, boom, and it stops. It is gorgeous how they did the caves and the underground stuff. It really is. This game looks fantastic. Full marks for aesthetic. And Laura, too. Obviously, Laura's super hot, but what I mean is how she's animated. She moves so realistically. She will warm her hands by the fire. She'll shiver in the cold if you put her in a tank top in the winter. If you're that mean, you can do that. You'll see her breath coming out. Poor Laura. Her hair physics are some of the best I've seen, if not the best I've seen. And her body, just how she... Yeah, she's hot, alright? We've established that. Let's move on. Just how she moves through stuff. She'll put her hands on walls as she goes through, little scripted tunnel sequences. It looks fantastic. It really does. Very high production value in this game. The musical cues, too. The score, after you accomplish something or find something, you'll hear this awesome little melody. And her body and her clothes and how she's textured too. She'll get wet, she'll get bloody, she'll get dirty and muddy. And if she gets badly damaged or hurt, she'll hold her wound. And yeah, did I mention Laura's pretty freaking hot? There are two really distinct environments in the game world. It's Geothermal Valley and then the whole Siberian landscape. And also at the beginning, there's this super gorgeous desert section. But unfortunately, it's just a prologue. I really wish they had taken a full area and let you explore the desert section. I would have spent a lot of time in that too. Now, the reason the open world sections are so good is because of what it allows you to do, the gameplay mechanics. Let's move on to gameplay. In combat, the bow is great. The bow is very versatile. It controls well. Headshots are pretty much instant kills unless they're wearing armor. Poison arrows are kind of OP. Poison arrows just kill everything. I have a couple issues with the actual shooting though. One of them is that cover is not a button. The cover system is not button based. It's kind of a soft lock on. If you go behind cover and she's in combat, she'll just kind of crouch behind it a little. And that does make it kind of hard to lean out and shoot behind it because then you just leave cover. Also, the reticle is a little too wide, and that's frustrating. Why does everybody keep doing that? Now, for a submachine gun, for something fast-firing and close range, that makes sense. But for my super long-range, distant bolt-action rifle, to have this giant-ass reticle, that's just weird. It uses the same reticle size for all the assault rifle classes, even though the assault rifle's very drastically in how you use them in combat. So it's got different weapon classes, and the shotgun's got this wide thing. The shotgun works really well. Shotgun totally kicks ass even. And unfortunately, there's just a tiny bit of input lag when you control or spin Laura or when you turn on the screen, and it's very frustrating. It's not nearly as bad as it was in The Witcher. It is by no means unplayable, but you can't turn on a dime, and it is a tad bit frustrating here and there. But the best thing about the combat in this game, the thing that makes it fun, the thing that makes it not boring and repetitive and tedious, is that it doesn't throw wave after wave after wave of enemies at you. There'll be a platforming section and a puzzle section, and there'll be 4 or 5 guys in one area, and you'll kill them, and then you'll move on. Except for the end, obviously the end, the climax, it does all this cool set piece stuff, so it loses its focus at the end. But throughout most of the game, the story sections are action heavy, and then it stops and it lets you explore. So the balance between gunfighting, exploring, platforming, and puzzling is very well done. I did not get bored of the gameplay like I did in Uncharted. Like I said, I think it uses the open world aspect, I'm checking the time, don't mind me, very well. There is stuff to do. You're here with this people, with this tribe, and you can help them fight off the big evil corporation in different ways, like, hey, can you go do this for me? Hey, can you go find this thing? And you'll get rewards, and it'll tell you what the reward is. You'll get a new outfit, or you'll get a new bow or something. It does crafting well. It's not The Witcher, where there's 16 trillion ingredients. It's a very simple Last of Us crafting system. There's, like, cloth, there's oil, there's wood, there's feathers, and then there's, like, herbs. But hunting, too. This game does hunting well, and games always do hunting so shittily, but this game does it well. Hunting animal pelts are another ingredient. One of the reasons hunting is fun is because the game world is so damn pretty. I love walking around in the woods and shooting the poor creatures that happen to roam it. It's not very realistic. You can run up to a deer and hit it in the face with an axe, so they don't. The hunting could have had more realistic mechanics, like there could have been a stealth button. You gotta slowly creep up on them, and then you have time to take a shot, and then if you miss, it's a chase to get after the animal. But no, the animals are constantly running everywhere, and they go in circles, and it's kind of silly, and it's kind of dumb, but it is fun. Get back here, you fuzzy-assed asshole! Stop running, you pointy stick-headed son of a bitch! The puzzle tombs are totally optional in the game, and that gives you another reason to explore, to go find them. Find little caves that have got wolves to kill, and there's quests, and the game does open world better than I've seen in a long time. And the game excels off the beaten path. If you just go through the story and you speed through it, you probably won't like it all that much. We'll get to that. The story's pretty bad. And despite seeming similar on the surface, I do think the game stands out from Uncharted a lot. I did play it a lot differently. Uncharted is a scripted, campaign-based shooter. That's really what it is. It's full of set pieces and Call of Duty-ness. I do think Rise of the Tomb Raider embraces the open world and the customization and the exploration a lot better. I urge you, go off the beaten path. If you're not one of those people who likes to do the side quests, you might not like the game. I urge you, do it. It'll make the game feel so much better. And that's one of the other things the game just excels in, is customization. Now, I don't know if these were like paid DLC or whatever, because it coming to PS4, I got everything for free in one package. But Laura has all these different outfits that you can just pick from the start. And it is kind of pathetic how much better that made the game. It's like I'm playing dress up with her, but I picked a different outfit for a different location. It's like, oh, it's cold, so we gotta put on a coat. Or like, oh, it's not that cold, so we gotta put on like this thermal shirt that makes her look really hot, but it's basically the Uncharted 4 Drake shirt with the blue one. But it looks a lot better with boobs underneath it. Now, I'd say the skill tree's problem is that it gives you too many skill points, and I don't feel like I had to pick and choose ones. I think by the end I had pretty much every skill. Some of them are more meaningless and others. Some are really helpful, but it's a decent skill tree. Something that just makes me salivate are visible weapon upgrades, where like boom, you put tape around the stock to make it more comfortable, and you can actually see that on the gun. You can see all the upgrades visibly on her. Now she's got like a shotgun shell thing wrapped around her boobs. Did I mention Laura was hot? One of the collectibles in the map were relics, and I thought those were kind of dumb. Those are meaningless. I still grabbed them because they gave me experience, but I didn't. It stops the game to give you voiceover. I'm like, if you can't play the voiceover while I'm doing the game, then I'm not going to listen to it. I don't have time for that. The gun customization is pretty deep. It's not really customization, it's just upgrades. It's not choose this or this. It's put all this stuff on your gun to make it better. But you can upgrade the clips and add a suppressor and stuff. There wasn't really any sights, but it's not a first-person shooter, so you wouldn't use them anyway. You can change the recoil spread, but you can't actually smallin. Is that a word? Make smaller. Lessen the reticle itself. And the one thing about the game visually that looks kind of weird is like the way she points the guns, like those bullets should not travel to where the reticle is. But I am telling you, man, changing how the bow looks and changing how Laura looks made the game so much more fun. She's got this super sweet ass looking Indian like leather outfit. It's like Indian inspired, but it's not like all shitty, like, you know, looks like it was made in 5 minutes from the ground. Like, it's like this really nice looking... I don't know why I'm explaining to you, but I can show it to you in gameplay footage. Boom! Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That looks awesome. You can dress her up in, like, plate armor with a fur cowl, too, and she looks like she's in Dark Souls. The aesthetic of this game, how Laura looks, how the game looks, how you can change that, is so cool. And the camera does a pretty good job of backing out so you can see everything when you're doing a platforming section, and getting in close so that you can see the enemies when you're shooting. Only problem is shoulder swap doesn't really work all that well. So if you push the shoulder swap button, it swaps. So at least it has the shoulder swap button. So if you can change angles, but if you go into cover, it'll immediately revert it back to the default, so it doesn't let you hang on to the one you want. And sometimes that blocked the enemy and I couldn't see him. Now, as fun as the game is to play, and as much as I wanted to roam around in this playground of a game and just enjoy how beautiful it is and upgrade Laura and change stuff, this game has one of the worst stories I've ever experienced. It is Uncharted 4's cliches cranked up to the maximum. There is an evil corporation looking for this object, and you want to find it first because you're an archaeologist. The villain is so cliche. There is such a cringeworthy plot twist. Like, are you kidding me, man? The cutscenes are terrible. The dialogue is so bad.
Our goal is within reach, but we must be vigilant. If we succeed here, a new world awaits. One of our own making.
Constantine, you're needed back at the prison right away. We've got a captive who might know something about the artifact.
Remain faithful. We will share in the glory of the divine source.
Are you a real villain?
Well, technically, not.
Laura's voice acting is okay, but her motion capture is trash. It looks like she's always got this quizzical, dopey look on her face, and her eyes are kind of far apart, so she looks like an idiot.
I'm not your enemy. That remains to be seen. You killed those men back there. I killed them to survive. I suspect you did too. How long have they been here? Days, at most. The invaders took many of my people prisoner. You should leave this place before it's too late. I can't do that. I came here for something important. So did they. If I see you again, I'll put an arrow in your throat. You and I are on the same side. I hope I can prove that to you. What's going on down there? Who?
Miss Kyle. So that's what that feels like.
It is copy-pasted, the plot of Uncharted 4, minus a dead dad that she's thinking about, who I could not give a flat about, by the way.
We made it, Dad.
I wanted to rush through the cutscenes so I could get more of the gameplays. Like, playing the campaign, playing through the story section is actually the thing I was trying to avoid. I wanted to hang out in the game world and do side quests as long as possible because I dreaded the next cutscene. So unfortunately, that was really bad. And at the end of the day, that is the one thing holding this game back from greatness. Because the story is so bad and so cringeworthy, and if the gameplay were super top-notch, it would make up for it. But the gameplay's got a couple concessions that you gotta make here, but overall it is still a very positive experience, and I'm gonna give it just a hair under an 8 out of 10 at a 7.9. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I do the point system. It's like, just giving it an 8. Why is it a 7.9? Because OCD. That's why. Boom.